The next stop on our journey is to stop the busy work and focus on the needle movers. There will always be more on the task list than is required. And if you're building your business by task, you will always be in the overwhelm. And Avital is going to bring some great ideas to help us step out of that. And then pillar 5, which will be the final way I'm going to close out the day today, is how do you build the business versus clearly not buying a job, and what do you do when life lifes when you're building a business owner? And there was a question here, how long do you get access to your VIP recordings? You'll have access to them for 6 months. And I said, what's really important is that not all this content may be something you need to digest today, but you may go back to it over the coming months. This will be available content till we run our next Turn On Your Client Waterfall series, which will be in Q4 of the year. And so you've got time to digest it, time to go back to it, time to take it as and when you need it. So let's kick off to pillar 4. We need you to stop the busy work and focus on the big rocks. We are stepping into our CEO era. We're the business owner, the decision maker. We're going to take you through 2 key components to this. The non-techie guide to success. How do you win a tech advantage for your business? And how do you run your business and treat your business so that it rewards you like a business? Well, we're going to peel back 7 secrets to make more without necessarily doing more. Because I'm really clear, I don't want to work 100 hours a week. I want a highly successful business without doing that, and I'm not a unicorn. I'm a great mentor and a great person to show you how. So let me start by bringing up our next speaker. This is someone who blew me away. Give me a second. I got to bring you up. I got to find your pin. There you are. Get myself up here too. Someone I had the pleasure of sharing a stage with earlier this year. And I thought her approach to cut through the BS that I hear every business owner say, I can't build, I'm not techie. I can't manage this business because I don't have the skill set. If you have not already had the pleasure of meeting Avital Spivak, it is my pleasure to introduce you to her. Welcome to our stage. Bring yourself off mute. I want to ask this question. If we have a mental toddler breakdown because we think we can't manage the tech on a really regular basis, like maybe 100 times a day, how do we still get there in the end? Because that's what's happening, right? We're having total toddler tantrum. I can't do this. The tech is hard.
Yes. And within from within the tantrum, the tech is hard. Because while I'm in a tantrum, I can't really see, I can't think, I don't have my adult mind available.
God, that's such a good insight. So guys, inside the tech tantrum, you can't solve anything.
No. So actually, at the beginning of my talk, there's what I suggest in those moments.
God, this is all fortuitous. I'm going to give you the stage to talk about how do we create tech advantage? How do we have the non-techie guide to success? Because if tech is not your thing, you can't avoid it, but you can win with it. And you can win with how you shift your mind around it. The floor is yours.
Thank you. So the first thing I want to do is organize it so I can see some of you, because I don't like talking to notes. So there we go. And I want to welcome you to creating a tech competitive advantage, something that non-techies don't even think they can do. A lot of us are thinking like, ooh, I just need to get by. But no, you can actually have an advantage even without becoming techie. So I want to start with something that is often getting overlooked when we talk about technology, especially when we're running businesses online. Tech is the bridge. Tech is how our clients find us, how they experience us, how they decide whether or not they trust us and want to work with us. Because online, that's the only way that we have. Without in-person meetings, without storefronts, without handshakes, the tools are the front door, the sales team, the delivery system, sometimes even our reputation. And if this bridge between us and the client is shaky, if the systems are clunky or confusing or missing altogether, it's not just a tech issue, it's a business bottleneck. So we have to address this. That's why this matters so much. Whether we like tech or not, it's a huge deal when we're doing business online. But you don't need to be a tech expert. You need a bridge that you can trust and a way to build it that fits you. Very important. So let's look at the challenge, because the complexity, the number of online tools available today is beyond anything one person can know. It's far beyond any specific business tool, skill set. So how do we choose? We cannot learn everything, use everything, deploy all strategies. We cannot outrun this avalanche, and it's going faster and faster, and AI is making it, faster even. The threat is very real. So do you feel it? It's almost like a panic. I talk about it and I feel it in my stomach. So here's that moment that Christine spoke about. When you feel that panic rising, what do? When overwhelm hits, we often told to take a deep breath. But there's actually something we need to do first. I want everyone who's listening to sit on your hands. Literally, put them under your thighs, sit on your hands. I learned this from leading hiking trips. And it works when tech panic hits as well. In hiking, when that panic of feeling lost hits, we train ourselves to drop down and sit right there at that moment. Why? Because in that adrenaline rush, our legs are going to start running. And you're never closest to the path than that moment when you noticed you're lost. If you start running, it goes away from you, gets away from you. And with technology, it's very simple, similar. But it's not our legs that need to be stopped, it's our hands. You know that clicking frenzy that follows the fight or flight response? It's like clicking it away, trying to avoid it, or clicking at it, trying to attack it and find the solution. Either way, we're clicking like crazy at the screen and we're getting away from where we were and from the solutions. So don't start with breathing. Start with sitting on your hands. Then first you sit, then you take a deep breath. Now it's the time, while your hands are not getting away from you running. So I hope that gave you an answer, Christine, because that toddler tantrum, we lose so much time on that clicking frenzy. And just putting our hands away makes a huge difference. Okay. Now that we have our breath, and if you didn't restore it yet, do it now. Let's look at what's going on, because there is a crisis. And it's a quiet crisis. Smart, thoughtful professionals are getting left behind. And not because they lack skill. It's because the digital world keeps moving faster and no one gave them a map. I want to say something really clearly because most of my people need to hear this. If you ever felt overwhelmed by tech, or even a little embarrassed that you should already know this, it's not your fault. Most of us are never taught this in a way that made sense. The tools weren't built for how we think necessarily. And the moment you hit a wall, it's too easy to start thinking, maybe it's me. So let's take a moment and pop moment in the chat. If you ever had a moment where you wanted to move forward and the tech just made it harder instead of easier. Yep, I see 1, 2, 3. Oh, they're coming now. It's most of us, and we're not alone. And that's exactly why this conversation matters. Because the tech, even for people who do feel techie, can hit that spot. So I want everyone to count. I want you to be seen and be heard, and your wisdom to come to the world, no matter how you feel about tech. And I love working with smart people who are up to something and they get stuck or slowed down by technology. No, you need to be seen, to be heard. Don't let that stop you. So why am I talking about this? I'm a computer engineer and a certified online business manager. I'm an educator. I'm a trainer. And I help brilliant humans stop feeling stuck or stunned around tech. For me, it's about the people, not the tech. So the thing is that not understanding tech should not be ever the reason you get stuck, miss out, or feel small. You don't need to master every tool. You don't need to become a tech expert. What you do need is a strategy that works for you and the way you think. And if you sometimes say, I'm not a tech person, or maybe you say, I thought I was comfortable with tech, but I knew just enough to get myself tangled, and I don't know how to get out of it. I feel behind, and it's embarrassing. I was there too when I came out of startup world and into growing my own business. And if that's you, you're not alone, you're in the right place. And I untangled tech for my fellow entrepreneurs. So let's untangle. I spoke earlier about how 2/3 of small business owners being overwhelmed by tech and tech solutions. So how do you get the tech advantage in that case? Well, I'll start with this. Focus less on the tech. Yep. Me, the techie, is here to tell you that you don't need high tech to have high impact. And I'm going to share 3 stories with you. These are 3 stories of hope. They're from real business owners who hit the tech wall in their business. They're not beginners, they're not tech expert, they're just smart people who are doing meaningful work, and they're feeling blocked. And each of these stories highlights something specific with a twist. One is about getting visible, but it may not be what you think about visibility. One is about getting paid, and one is about finally trusting the systems they're using. These are not flashy wins. They're real turning points. And, one shift, one decision can help someone move from bottleneck to flow. And that's a turning point that's important. That's what I hope you take from here, a sense of what's possible when tech actually fits you. And that's why I call them stories of hope. So before I share the stories, I want to introduce you to this framework that I call the Solopreneur System Map. I use it in my work with clients, and I teach how to use it in my free workshops. The map it helps us focus on the foundational business needs, and then look at the people and the tools that are part of the ecosystem that can make it work. So I won't walk you through the full map today or how to use it as a lens to create visibility into your business issues or systems. But the stories I share insights that are learned from using this. Insight that show us that not all is clearly visible at first sight. What you need to know today is that each story is tied to either a missing or misfiring piece that we uncovered using this lens. So as you listen, you might start to get insights about gaps or possibilities in your own setup, which is what I want for you. So when something pops for you, share it in chat, because I would love to see what insights come to you when you listen to this. So in this summit, we spoke about simplicity and getting into action fast. And Christine spoke about the factors that predict our revenue in the next 90 days, right? There are two pitfalls related to tech that affect those factors. And I want to warn you about those. So they appear on our way into fast action. They're pitfalls, right? So you kind of, you know, you don't see it coming, you just fall in. So pitfall number one is focusing on the message and the marketing. Meeting people, making offers. Sounds good so far, doesn't it? But then when someone says, yes, I want your offer, oops, we struggle to take a payment, don't have the agreement in place, or we have to figure out how to deliver. Sometimes by the time we figure it all out, the opportunity is gone. Happened to me a few times in the beginning. Getting payment from Europe, I didn't see it coming. Pitfall number two, focusing on the tech. I'm getting ready. This can feel very exciting, and there seems to be so much to do and so much to learn, so much to set up, or even find somebody to do it for you. But all along, you're not meeting people and making offers. So those are the two pitfalls. You either go one way or the other way or somewhere in between. And the framework that I showed you keeps you safe from both of them, because it shows you the minimal setup you need. And it shows you, do I have those areas covered? And once they're covered, as long as they're covered somehow, it doesn't have to be fancy, it doesn't have to be automated, you can proceed with confidence into the sales. So let's get to the stories. First one is Diana. She came out of corporate. She had a strong background in sales, powerful offer, the right people. She had access to the right clubs and where she needed to meet her people, but she wasn't making sales. What did we discover? She resisted packaging her high-end service. She wanted to customize everything for the high-end client, which made sense in theory, but in practice, it meant no one could clearly see what she offered or how to engage with it. This became clear when we mapped her system on the framework. We found a visibility and a storage gap. Her materials were scattered, her message was foggy. There was no simple way for someone to say, yes, I want this, click. This was her bottleneck. Once we clarified her offer and created a clear professional path for her clients to click and say yes, she made $24,000 in the first week. The takeaway, the visibility isn't always about being louder. Sometimes it's about making the value crystal clear and findable to the people that are already looking for it. So, what's your takeaway here? Share in chat. Anything comes to mind? I'm going to continue to the next story and check out your insights later. So Janice had everything lined up. Her course was written, her audience was interested. 2 people were already asking to buy. When she came to me, she was stuck. She didn't know which platform to use, how to set it up with payments, how to deliver the course in a way that felt smooth and professional. And what we uncovered was a delivery gap, a payment challenge, but also decision fatigue. That was her bottleneck. Too many choices, no clear way to move forward. Together, we picked tools that fit her and her audience needs, also her style, Nothing overbuilt, nothing overwhelming. We set up delivery flow, we made sense, and within a month, she made her first and second sale. The takeaway for me, it's that you don't need to master all the options. You just need a clear path to deliver what you already created. You don't need 10 paths, you don't need a lot, just what works, both for you and for your clients. Remember that bridge? It needs to work on both sides of the bridge. Last one is Sophie. Her business was growing, but her systems weren't keeping up. She had tools layered on top of tools. Some were overlapping features, others that didn't talk to each other, and no clear way to see what was connected to what. Does that sound familiar to some of you? Put 3 for Sophie's story in the chat. Launching felt risky. She didn't trust that her systems would hold, and that fear, totally valid in this case, kept her from moving forward. And when we mapped it all out using the lens, we saw not just a tech tangle, but a confidence bottleneck. The problem wasn't her offer, it was the invisible stress of not knowing when communications with clients might break. So we created a thoughtful and planned migration, reduced the duplication, gave her a setup she could actually understand and rely on. Now she's launching with confidence. She launched her book. She launched 2 new programs recently because the back end is no longer a mystery to her. And the bonus, she's saving over $500 each month since we simplified her systems. So the takeaway, tech confidence doesn't come from learning every tool. It comes from trusting your simple as it is, trusting your system to work when it matters. Then you're on solid ground going forward. So are you feeling some hope for your own bottlenecks? Sometimes the block feels huge, like it's going to take months to solve. But that's really the backup and the buildup behind the bottleneck. The bottleneck is sometimes this small, but it doesn't let things go and they pile up and it looks huge. You open the bottleneck, things start flowing, everything changes. So the right next move may be much closer than how you feel about it. So we covered a ton of stuff, and I hope for some renewed hope for people who felt like, you know, that tech thing is a tech monster that will never go away and we have to live with it. So I say, no, don't live with it. It's slowing you down and it's making you feel insecure, unsafe, maybe small. It's no, don't accept it as part of life. And I want to help you kickstart the momentum around tech or keep it going if you already have it. So I have 2 things for you. First, for everyone in the summit, there's the 10 non-techie do's and don'ts for creating tech advantage. That's it's a practical guide to help you feel more confident in choosing and using tech in your business without the overwhelm. A lot of mindset, practical solution, real examples, no jargon, easy wins you can start with quickly. It's not about setup. It's about setup. Mind setup. Okay, for the VIPs, you will get access to my Map Your Technology session. We walk through the 5 core areas of your business together through the framework that I showed you. And we look at how your tools and processes are either helping you or holding you back. Which ones are good for you? Which ones are slowing you down? What connections can we make? You live with clarity on what's working, what's missing, and what's next. So that's where it is. We have a few more minutes, I think, about 4 or 5 minutes. I have a question for you, and I would love to hear what resonated with you and what's your next actionable step that you can take from what you heard today. What are you going to explore or do or implement or ask, or where are you going to find help for the bottleneck that you're seeing? Make plan to plug those gaps. I'm going to stop the share and see what questions are coming up. Christine, do we have any moments left? Excellent. So let's see. Maybe a hand up because I can't read all this chat at once. Or Christine, if you want to unmute and tell me about questions there.
All right, I'm going to unmute myself. I want to, I love that Kendall's put it into the chat here. I'm hopeful that there is help available. You know, this is such an important thing. And if you have a
Yes.
question about tech and you have a question about what's covered, please put your hand up. It's an opportunity right now to get the support you need. I think one of the biggest shifts that comes as you have more experience as a business owner is how long you choose to stay without help. I am in the middle of making a major tech stack change in our business, and I made the decision not to do it in the middle of Turn On Your Client Waterfall. But now that Turn On Your Client Waterfall is almost done, I've got to go and do this. So I'm like, holy, really outside my comfort zone. And I spent all day yesterday, too many hours, and thought, who do I know who's great at this? And I'm going to send them a note. And I asked them two things. Notice which order I did this. Who in your team can I pay to get support from? And I have two simple questions if you've got minutes. Guys, paying for support should be part of your budget. Asking yourself who in your network knows this better than I do. Can I pay you? Can you answer a simple question? Is so important. And already tomorrow when I get off a plane, I'm going to have a call with somebody for 30 minutes while I'm driving saying, I just need to know a couple of things so I know what I'm hiring for. I wouldn't have made that decision 5 years ago. But boy, am I proud of the fact that my business goes, don't worry about it, write the check. Just go do that. Tech stack is such an important part of your business because it holds your standard. What's the experience people have? We still make mistakes. We still get out of our weeds. And I love your advice, Avital. Just go sit on your hands. Seriously, don't throw the temper tantrum. Who's got a question? Anybody want a question before we're going to send you in, or we're going to bring in our next speaker and add the next piece of this puzzle, which is don't do more. Do it more effectively. Any questions?
So somebody is asking, what's a tech stack?
Great question. What's a tech stack? Can Avital, do you want to answer that? Do you want me to? Go ahead.
I would love to. So tech stack is, your tools, and you can look at them as a stack that sits together. Now, is your tech stack nicely stacked? Is it all staggering and, falling apart as you're trying to stack it together? It's about how your tools play together. I like to call it the tech team because it's really a team of tools that work together. Each of them has a role that you assign, and they need to speak the same language, and they need to be able to transfer information. And there's a whole way of looking at it, which is a team. And in the computer land jargon, it's called a tech stack.
And so think about this is what are the pieces that are essential? Notice I use the word essential for your business to run. And do they communicate to each other? One of the things that I do as a business mentor very well is I help people connect the dots. Because the issue is not that you don't have the pieces, is that you can't sequence them. You can't stack them well. You have this higgledy-piggledy experience.
Yeah.
But the tech stack should be reviewed. Because before you know it, you will bleed money on tools you're not using, tools that you never engaged in, tools that are beyond your scope. And it's good to spend time with people like Avital to say, this is what I want from my business. This is where I'm going to be in my business for the next 18 months, 24 months. Let's talk about the technology that I might need. because I will watch people bleed money. I said, really think about how simple your business can be.
Yes.
Tech appropriate for the stage of business you're at. Fully recognizing every dollar you spend has to provide value to the standard of client delivery, to yourself, your team, and create money for you.
Here, here.
Otherwise, it's a luxury item that will cause you to erode your profit line. So I recommend at least once a year, but ideally at least twice a year, you review all your bills. What is in your tech stack? And plan for that. Because every year, like, you should audit the rooms you spend time in, all your networking space. You should audit your tech stack and go, oh my God, I've got 12 memberships I'm part of. Maybe I shouldn't need all 12. If you don't use it well, get help. Avatel, thank you for that. That was awesome. Please reach out. We've given her contact details in before. Make sure you grab your gifts. You're going to have that great resource. And for the mind mapping, that's a VIP option. If anybody in the room still wants to grab the VIP, I'm going to drop one more link into it and then get our next speaker rolled up. Give me 1 second.
Thank you, Carolyn. I just want to say I love the format that you created here with the masterminds in between and everything. It's just brilliant.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that feedback.